Doubles and coffee. What? PNM could cry crocodile tears, eh? Marvin Gonzales crying for the people who he put at WASA to produce the lowest 24/7 supply of water to the taps of Trinidad and Tobagonians ever. That went down to 12%. Marvin, not only were you the worst Minister of Public Utilities ever, and therefore you lost your job on April 28th, but the people you selected from Nanga and your board, to those who carried out your instructions, who approved your cabinet's failed transformation plan to blame others for your incompetence, all of the executives that you put into position, Marvin, you and your board, you and your government, the PNM board, the PNM government, the PNM minister, you talking about qualifications. First and foremost, you being Minister of Public Utilities, Rowley said the reason he chose you is that you know nothing about WASA. That is the PNM standard for qualification. That you knew nothing. You didn't even know that leaks break pressure. And therefore, when you have leaks down, the people up on the hills can't get water. You didn't even know that. After you said that, you should have just written your resignation and realized, boy, when I listen to myself, I realize that I am not suited for this job. I am incompetent. And because of my incompetence, people are suffering for water. You were the worst. This is the worst PNM in history. This is why people resigning and mashing up. It's the first time in history the PNM is going to splinter and other parties are going to form from within the PNM. And when people put there by you, people who was close to Faris al-Rawi, a la Taipans, a la growth hormone, a la complain and cry, a la rental, a la outfit your own building with taxpayers' money, a la 100 recusals, and they're close to Faris, no qualification, and to get big salary, all you just reduce the criteria for people to work in the public sector, to work in WASA, producing a situation that billions of dollars was spent and no service was given, no quarter. People suffer for water, and now you come in to cry that the chairman, Mr. Babwa, is a serious man under a serious minister, and they come in to give people water because Ganga Singh did it back in 2014 under Kamla Prasad Bisesa. 74% of people were turning on the tap in their house 24/7. You took that down to 12%, and it now stands at about 28%. Typical PNM failure. So you are trying to suggest that the UNC government that won on a landslide because of your failure, Marvin Gonzales, because of your incompetence, because of the people who you selected, the people who you put in position, their failure. The people of Trinidad and Tobago rejected you all. You are trying to say that Kamla Prasad, Mr. Sabari Padarat, Mr. Babwa, the chairman, and the board of WASA should leave your people there to implement your draconian transformation plan that would have put 2,500 WASA workers out of work. Well, Kamla says no. Barry says no. Babwa says no. Anil Douglas says no. The UNC says no. The Coalition of Interest says no. The labor movement says no. We're not firing workers. We're going to put people who are qualified to do their jobs in places to do their jobs all across the public sector. If all you feel is just WASA, I am just impressed with the WASA board because they're decisive. They understand how to implement government policy and they want to serve the people, so they make quick, sharp decisions. That is the kind of governance, that is the kind of management, that is the kind of creative, brilliant, amazing, decisive action that is needed. PNM has collapsed this entire country, our institutions, our public sector, our good workers who are there have been oppressed and thwarted. They were permanent secretaries who were disrespected by contracted, hand-selected managing directors and people You will hear more about this as it comes out, Disrespected permanent secretaries who are the accounting officers for the government and taxpayers' dollars by this PNM. All you're crying for PNM? What's up the PNM hotline? Because the hotline wasn't there when Petrotrin workers were fired, when TSTT workers were fired, when all contract workers who in social work and guidance counselors in the IT department, also Ministry of Education, were fired, when the 75 sport development officers were fired, when all of those people who were there to serve human beings were fired because the PNM said the resources are not for you, the people. The resources are for their recusals. You must wean yourself off the government. Well, no, Kamala not weaning you off your own taxpayer money. Kamala is using your taxpayer money to serve you, and water is vital for life. Boy, I never felt so proud of our board one time. So all the people who are acting and in positions at WASA, get cracking, give the citizens water, fix the leaks, do what the PNM never did because they didn't care. So Marvin, all the water leaking out your eyes, that is what you are about. That is who you are. You know about leaks. And the next one from Marvin to Foster. Foster, you attacking the Minister of Sport, saying that he said falsities on you. Now, for the media, when the PNM just come with total abject nonsense, after a UNC minister gives you facts, figures, names, timelines, and so on, and all a PNM former minister with plenty questions to answer, whether he lie down on a bed in the office or not, just says, oh, it's false, it's false, it's false. Y'all put that is a clap back, that he hits back. He ain't hit back nothing to hit back. You have to give facts, figures, information to the contrary. Foster comments. Minister Watts made some serious allegations in the parliament, and the Attorney General has the file where short-term hiring was done by you in your ministry. Now, Foster, let's hear your allegation, because all it was only for PNM. Laurel Lezama get fired from the Senate. She get work by you. Anthony Garcia get fired from Minister of Education at the PNM. He get work by you. And Dale Young, who like the gallery and come as temporary PNM senator in the Senate, get work by you. 22,000, 22,000, 22,000. But hear this, Foster. Let me read Foster's own words. And from Foster's words, you all will know he convict himself. Watch this. So this is the media saying that Minister of Sport Watts, Foster says it's ridiculous falsities. Okay, Foster. Falsities, okay. So, Cummins fired back, says the PNM media. He fired back. Let's see what he fired back. If it's duds, rubber bullet, or blanks he firing. From the time the government changed office, the minister, the one who spoke in Parliament yesterday, on Monday, making all sorts of ridiculous falsities as statements of fact. The main intention on entering that ministry was to actually get rid of all the persons engaged in execution of these programs. And they have been doing exactly that, says Foster. But to distract the national community, goes to the Parliament to speak about the minister employing people and PNM persons, etc. Now let me just say to members of the media, a minister of government has no authority hiring. The only hiring authority in public service is the permanent secretary. Whatever the type of employment, Cummins added. Put a pin right there, put a small pin right there. We're coming back. One cannot be paid unless the permanent secretary signs off on that arrangement. So it is an absolute falsehood for the minister to look into a batch of workers and say 61 PNM. Foster continued, the process of the public service is very clear. The employment is done by the permanent secretary. The approval for employment, the approval of payment. There is no way that a minister of government can employ anyone. That's steered by the public service. Foster, what you're saying is correct. So let me tell you people the process. So if you have positions, you would advertise the ministry, the permanent secretary, the marketing communications department of the ministry will advertise positions, saying and stating what are the qualifications necessary and give a period for people to apply. People would then apply. The ministry, the permanent secretary will set up a committee, a HR committee to conduct interviews. People will be scored and graded, and then people will be selected. For these people that are selected by the committee, a file will come to the minister, and the minister will read the file based on the committee's recommendations and take a pen and write, okay, PS, put the date, recommended. The minister will write recommended because, as Foster said, the minister cannot write approved, agreed, confirmed, nothing like that, because the minister does not do the hiring. Correct, Foster? Foster, if there is a minute sheet with a minister saying PS, approved, approved, signed by the minister, wouldn't that be ultra-virus, the process? Wouldn't that mean that the minister hired as opposed to the permanent secretary? Let's be clear, Foster. If there is a minute sheet in a file for each job, so when it comes to Laurel Zamalising, and the file comes to you, and you write PS, approved, and you sign it, that means the minister approved. That means the minister hired. That means the minister got involved in the process. Are you following me, Foster? Now, if the minute sheet says PS recommended and minister signed, then that's within the process, Foster. Over to you now, Foster. Are those files there? What did you sign on the minute sheet, Foster? Think carefully, because you know you like to plagiarize. Think carefully, Foster, because based on your words, you're correct. The permanent secretary is supposed to be the one. But if a minister signed PS, approved, puts his initials or her initials and puts the date, and it's on the file, then Foster, police, boy blue, bless.